Hey everybody, good morning. I want to talk to you today out of Ecclesiastes. That's how you say it. All right, Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 1. And it says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again." This is going to be a really powerful nugget for you today. So go ahead and share this with somebody. Tag somebody. Tell them to come listen to this. Okay, it's going to do something powerful for them. Also, let us know where you're coming in from. I see a Canadian right there. Loretta, it's good to see you. And who else do we have coming in today? Let us know your name. Let us know where you're coming in from so that we can say hello and just see what part of the world that you are joining in. Again, go ahead and tag somebody. Let them know that this is going on. I think this is going to be really, we've got another Canadian right on. New York City, wonderful. All right, so the Seychelles, I know somebody from the Seychelles area over Africa, I guess. I don't know I don't know the territory myself, but I know somebody from there who actually lives in Perth. All right, so Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again." And so what I'm doing right now, and I shared this maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Lord was challenging me so much, and it was a very hard thing for me. It's still very hard for me, and so I'm just doing this out of sheer faith and sheer obedience. And he started talking to me, woke me up one morning, and he said, "Jennifer, you are good soil." And I'm like, "Good soil? What do you mean?" And he started talking to me out of 2 Corinthians chapter 9. And it's all about the power of the seed that is sown and what God does with the seed that you sow. And he was talking about the offerings, very specifically about financial giving. And he was talking to me that people need to know that there is good soil for them to sow in, because we can look around, and if we don't know the word, we can get into a mentality of scarcity, a mentality of lack. And in God's kingdom, when you do your finances the way God says to do it, you will never lack a thing, because his spirit gets on your finances, and God's a multiplier. And so, and it takes faith to actually believe that, especially for us, who, like, we calculate things and we're like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but then God's math comes in and things begin to multiply, and you're like, okay, that all of that got taken care of, and I had enough left over to give, as offerings, and give to people and bless other people and all of that. So anyway, so he started talking to me that I need to talk to people about this whole area. And also, that he has spoken to me that I'm good soil. There's other people that are good soil. Just look at the fruit of their ministry. And specifically, the offerings aren't tithes. Tithes are completely different. Tithes go to your church. It's the first 10%. That goes to your church right off the top. And then the 90% is blessed, and you really want to make sure you have that in order. But he's talking about the offering, what the offering does. 2 Corinthians 9:6, "But this I say, he who sows sparingly and he who sows generously, but he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows generously will also reap generously." And that's what he's talking about. That's about the offering. That's something about the offering triggers the blessing of God on your life, but then there's counsel, like, don't give under pressure, don't give because you've been gimmicked, give because, it's in your heart to give, so there's some really good counsel. And then there's also some instruction at the end of that chapter that the people who receive the offering, that they are to give God thanks and to pray for you because you gave to them. And so I know what I do. I don't know what others do, but I know every time somebody gives to our ministry, to my ministry, that when I see that offering come in, I bless them right there, because 2 Corinthians chapter 9 says that's what we're supposed to do, that we are to bless people who give. Okay, so with that, I wanted to bring to you those concepts and kind of repeat it a little bit, but also talk to you about Ecclesiastes 11, chapter 1, "Casting your bread upon the waters, after many days you'll find it again." I want to tell you this story, this really powerful story, because this will help you to see see how these things go. All right, and you'll be encouraged. So the church that my husband and I have been pastoring at for 25 years as senior leaders, I think 25 years as senior leaders, and we've been here over 25 years. I think 26 years. Yeah, 26 years. As long as we've been married, I've been here. Okay, so we've been married over 26 years. All right, so with that, this church, we walked into a very property-rich situation, which is unusual. We didn't realize at the time what a blessing that was, and we've added property to this church as well as other campuses, because every generation of pastors did that. This church is over 100 years old, and so it seems like that's been the pattern. Every pastor adds property to the existing property, and we've been able to carry that forward. I'm so grateful. But how this church even got started was because there was a meeting in Turlock, a revival meeting with Amy Semple McPherson. Okay, this is some great roots here that we have, and out of that meeting, some people who were at the Evangelical Free Church, they decided to start like a prayer meeting, and it turned into like a Pentecostal revival. And so there was a couple, there was a family that actually gave the money for the first part of this church, the very first chapel, the very first piece of property here. They gave money so that would happen. Okay, and they were out of that revival and what Amy Semple McPherson did. All right, so they had a grandson who was known around town as an evangelist. I mean, he was a massive evangelist. I mean, he would go through the parks and he would look for people that needed salvation, and he'd tell them about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then he had a Monday night Bible study, and all of the people that got saved, that through his ministry, or he'd invite people that need to get saved to come to this Bible study, and so he had the Monday night Bible study, and then he taught them evangelism, and they all went out door to door and they did door to door evangelism. Okay, and it's because of this guy, this grandson of the family, that donated the money so that this property that my husband and I are ministering, and we have been for over a quarter century. Okay, it's their grandson and that family that donated the money for the first piece of property. Okay, what a heritage already, right? Okay, so anyway, this grandson found my husband in the park smoking a cigarette when he was in high school, and he found him smoking a cigarette, and then he began to share with him about the gospel. And my husband, because of his nationality, he thought he was saved because he was Assyrian. And so he ended up getting invited to this Bible study. And by the time it was all over, my husband gets saved, right? He gives his life to Jesus. It's powerful. It's impacting. It's changed his life. His whole family's like, okay, what happened to you? And then, but think about it. The original seed, okay, remember talking about seed and offerings. Think about it. The original seed, okay, that was at this church ended up 3 generations later producing a pastor for this church, that now the ministry of the gospel and salvation and healings and deliverance are spreading all over this valley, through all of our campuses, spreading around the globe. Okay, they're spreading. And so this is what I want to tell you about casting your bread upon the waters. Okay, the seed is going to produce the things of the kingdom, and it's going to circle back. Okay, it's going to circle back and go in the direction that it was sown. It was sown for kingdom purposes, and the legacy of the grandson, we saw that. And then who got saved through the grandson's ministry came back and began to feed and water the church from the original people who gave that seed. And this is why I want to encourage you, about the power of the seed. It's not just anything. It's not just I'm just dropping a donation somewhere. There's power on it. There's power on it, and God actually observes and watches over all of it. All the offerings go before the Lord. Okay, Old Testament, we see that. We see that in the New Testament. I don't know how that happens, but they go before him with your name on it. And so I wanted to encourage you with that, because the Lord is really serious about his kingdom, and his kingdom, needs that seed in order to reproduce properly. And then also what he does with it afterward is really powerful. So this is why I want to bring this to you, talk about, what the Lord spoke over me, spoke to my life, and I have been like by faith telling people, Lord spoke to me and said, I'm good soil. There's a whole bunch of others as well. So just hear the Lord on those things, okay? If you want to give to this ministry, it's jennifereivaz.com. Just hit the give tab. If the Lord's leading you to give to other ministries, keep in mind these are not ministries typically that are going to hound you for money because they're integrous. But really hear the Lord, because there are kingdom efforts that are really impactful, and God wants you to be a part of that. And it comes back to you. It cycles back to you, all right? All right, thank you, everybody. God bless. Have a wonderful day.